Good afternoon to the members from the industry, academia, my dear students, the Vice Chancellor. It is my great pleasure to be a part of BML Munjal University's Leadership Summit and present this keynote address. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the midst of a technology revolution that will actually fundamentally alter the way we live and work. Innovations in areas of artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, blockchain, and many others will have an unprecedented impact due to its sheer scale, scope, and complexity. These technologies, which have been developed, will slowly start to blur the boundaries between our physical, digital, and biological worlds. This leadership summit is happening at a point of time when, on the one hand, we have these digital technologies reshaping the world around us, and on the other hand, we have a health crisis of a huge proportion to resolve. With an eye on the future, we are seeing both government and private organizations world over work together to find solutions to both these challenges. This challenge is enormous, and therefore, just to give you the proportion of this challenge, when the 2008 financial crisis happened, the global economy had just declined by 1%. In the present context of COVID-19, the global economy has already seen a decline of close to 6.5%. And almost $16 trillion of the global economy has been knocked out. So this crisis is actually almost 50 times bigger than the crisis which we had seen in 2008. And therefore, we had several challenges in India. When this crisis started, we were confronted with COVID-19 and there was no knowledge about this pandemic. There was no PPE. There were no ventilators. There were no masks. And overnight, we got the PPE going, and today over 500 Indian companies are manufacturing PPE and we are exporting PPE. So many of our automobile manufacturers are actually manufacturing ventilators and we've started exporting them. We came out with new guidelines for telemedicine, and telemedicine has taken off in a very big way. So while we participate in Industry 4.0 revolution, we are simultaneously dealing with the immediate challenges of keeping the workforce safe and productively engaged during a health crisis. It was Winston Churchill who once famously said, "Never let a good crisis go waste." This was in the context of World War II that led to the formation of United Nations, thereby creating opportunities in the midst of a crisis. COVID pandemic is the biggest of all crises, and organizations need to take decisive steps today to identify growth opportunities of tomorrow and steer their organization towards a better future. Even within the government, a host of initiatives have been undertaken by the government to make India future ready. Just look at the kind of reforms we've carried out. The coal was nationalized when I was in school in 1973. This crisis has been used to denationalize coal and bring a market economy there. We put a whole range of constraints on our farmers. We've used this crisis to allow the farmer to sell anywhere in the world, not just in his mandi, but sell anywhere. Just imagine the dimension of it. He can get 10x of his prices if he was to benchmark it against international prices. We've done away with Essential Commodities Act in major commodities, and we brought in contract farming so that large corporates can do agriculture farming. We've changed the definition of MSME so that in India, a micro enterprise can go bigger and a medium can go into large and a large can grow into much bigger. This definition was pending for over 20 years. And therefore, this crisis has been used to usher in radical reforms. And therefore, this is a unique opportunity for all of you at the BML Munjal University to actually become great entrepreneurs, because the crisis will bring in radical reforms. The traditional supply chains will get disrupted and new supply chains will come in. And in India, we quite often get into sunset areas of industries. We do not get into sunrise areas of growth, which have huge opportunities. And therefore, my view is that all of you should really aim to get into areas which will enable India to grow and expand and disrupt the world, and all of you must become the biggest disruptors. Just look at a serial entrepreneur like Elon Musk. He became a multi-millionaire even before he started Tesla and SpaceX. He started and sold Zip2 to Compaq for 300 million, then founded and sold PayPal, sold it to eBay for 15 billion, then started SpaceX, then started Tesla and gave birth to a whole new industry. And Tesla has had spectacular results and at 300 billion valued more than General Motors, Ford and Toyota combined together. He conceived the Hyperloop, a completely new form of superfast intercity transportation, and open sourced it for entrepreneurs. Then started a company, Neuralink, to link human brains to computers or cloud. In spare time, he invested 5 billion to set up the world's largest solar cell factory called Gigafactory, which at 35 gigawatt hours offered greater power than 2013 total global lithium-ion battery production in the world. So what he did was to create one factory which was comparable to all lithium-ion production in the world. He's in the business of cars, solar, space technology, or all of them. And he has positioned himself in the midst of this colossal industries, two colossal industries which have produced most wealth and have the biggest impact in the modern era, energy and technology. And he's truly at the intersection of both energy and technology. And his gigafactories will be the oil fields of the future, even as technology powers every other business he starts or runs. And therefore, my view is that all of you must become great business leaders. And therefore, I'm truly delighted that today's summit is about leadership. And my belief has been that leaders must have strong beliefs. They have to have beliefs in themselves and set a direction for their organizers, for their organization. And you, all of you, must have strong belief in yourself that what you are going to do, you will succeed and take your whole organization along. And you have to be an optimist, because leaders must have courage. And it's important because we have too much of pessimism in India. And BML Munjal must produce the greatest optimists in this country who will have the courage to reform India. And thirdly, leaders must spend a great deal of time relentlessly, and I'm using the word relentlessly, preparing for the difficulties that they and their organizations will have to face, because each one of us will have to face difficulties and challenges, and we must prepare ourselves relentlessly. And only those who prepare themselves relentlessly succeed. Work your roadmap and work hard and work relentlessly. And also always understand the value of teamwork, and only with teamwork you can win. And since you are in a university which prepares you for life, learn to communicate, because communication is critical. So my belief is that leaders have to set a direction into the future and set a goal. Do not look at the past or present. Look at the future, because you become the biggest disruptionist. Become a strong optimist. You must be willing to think success. Undertake relentless preparation. It's about teamwork, and you need to put people, outstanding people, in order to accomplish anything. Unless you don't work with outstanding people, you'll never succeed. And therefore, teamwork is critical, and communicate effectively. I was quite delighted to read a fascinating editorial by Mr. Narayan Murthy in Times of India just 2 or 3 days back. And he talks about the life lessons from Dhoni. Mr. Narayan Murthy, who has headed Infosys and actually created Infosys, was talking about life lessons from a great cricketer like Dhoni. And he said that a great leader leads by example. And he said that Dhoni led from the front. He walked the talk and practiced the precept. He personified the determination to win. He became India's best finisher. A confident leader is always generous to share glory with his team, and Dhoni shared glory with his team. And a competent leader remains calm but plans his next move well in the hours of crisis. And therefore, Dhoni embodied all these spirits. You know, one of the programs we run in Niti Aayog is the aspirational district program. It covers the 112 of the most backward districts of India. We don't call them backward. We call them the aspirational districts of India. And in these aspirational districts, we use new technology. Actually, we track indicators on a real-time basis on how these districts are moving up or down, and we rank them. And we've actually seen a huge improvement in these most backward districts simply by monitoring performance on a real-time data basis. So what technology has enabled us to do is to fast-track development using IT infrastructure on a real-time basis. This was not possible when I was a district collector in Kerala. I used to work on data which was 6 years old, 7 years old. All this is now possible, and therefore you are in the midst of some of the biggest disruptions that will take place. Artificial intelligence will be a very integral part of our lives. It will empower the youngest minds of the country with the latest technologies. And all of you must understand that this coding from class 6 and what we are doing through the Atal Innovation Mission, we have provided robots, 3D printers, Internet of Things at class, from class 5 onwards for young children to play around with. And these young students will be actually the new architects of India for tomorrow. So, to my mind, India will be a very different country simply because we are the largest and the fastest growing markets of digital consumers with over 560 million internet subscribers. Our mobile data user consumption is much higher than the mobile data consumption of China and Korea put together. Our cost of data is 1/10 the cost of United Kingdom and 1/20 the cost of United States of America. And we are the largest downloaders of apps in the world. My view is that we built up a digital infrastructure which is truly top class. Many of you are aware of the Jam Trinity.
We have over 1 billion plus mobiles, we have 1 billion plus biometric, and we have 1 billion plus bank account. Today, we are able to transfer money straight into the bank account of beneficiaries. We do this in over 500 schemes of the government of India. When I was a young officer, one of our prime ministers said that only 15 paisa out of a rupee reaches the actual beneficiary. But today, technology enables us to ensure that not a single paisa, there is a leakage. And therefore, all this entire money meant for the poor actually reaches them today. This has all been made possible by technology. And based on current trend, India will increase the number of internet users by over about 40% to 800 million and double the number of smartphones to about 700 million by 2023. So digital applications would proliferate across most sectors of Indian economy. I'm making this point because I was just analyzing the top 10 companies of the world, and the top 8 companies are actually digital companies. They may be manufacturing companies, but they've used digital technology, and digital technology has enabled them to grow much quicker, much faster. And therefore, digitization will cut across all sectors. There will be business process re-engineering, and there will be digital sectors will cut across agriculture, education, energy, financial services, healthcare, logistics, retail, as well as government services and labor markets. And therefore, each one of you has to focus on this, because digital applications will have a massive impact on each one of our services. They will proliferate, and the productivity unlocked by the digital economy would create close to about 65 to 70 million jobs by 2025. And many of them would require functional digital skills. This would require us to reorient our education system. This would require us to reskill. This would require us to learn the skills of artificial intelligence, blockchain, many other data scientists, and therefore retraining and redeployment will be essential to help all the workers who would be, and that alone will transform our economy. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing a new digital ecosystem that is already visible. It's reshaping manufacturing, most sectors of our economy, and opportunities will span in a vast range of areas. I'm particularly delighted because BML Munjal University lays emphasis on preparing you for life. Preparing you for life means that you must get ready for disruptions. And the world is in the midst of the biggest disruptions that you will ever witness. Disruptions on account of health, disruptions on account of COVID, disruptions on account of supply chains from across the world. The world will not source, whatever you try, the world will not source any more from China. Whatever Mr. Trump may have done, he's done one thing forever, and that is to change the perception of Americans and Europeans towards China. And this opens up a vast opportunity for India, an opportunity to manufacture to global size and scale. All of you, whatever occupation you get into, don't think only of the domestic market. Think of the world as your market. Think of size and scale. Most Indians do not think large, and that is what we need to do. Think big, think large, think scale. Think of the world as your market. And secondly, whatever you do, use cutting edge technology to leapfrog. This is India's opportunity to technologically leapfrog into the sunrise areas of industry. And there are a vast number of them, from electric mobility to battery storage, to artificial intelligence, to genomics, each one of them, to financial inclusion, banking, all of them are vast opportunities which India provides. No other country provides the opportunity which India does. And each one of these areas gives you an opportunity to become a great business leader by having your own vision, by thinking big, building your own team and inspiring them and always disrupting. So ladies and gentlemen, I would merely like to stress that we will be realigning India's education system to emphasize skills rather than mere degrees. We will be actually focusing on creating a very flexible, resilient and adaptive workforce. We will be upgrading skills for the newer and higher paid jobs. And there is a severe, actually let me tell you that there is a severe shortage of skills in India. And therefore, I'm particularly delighted that the BML Munjal University is actually giving you the skills of tomorrow, skills of a new world. We must, I think, also initiate measures to ensure that India's citizens and workforce are all embrace the new era of technological disruptions. And lastly, I would only like to stress that our focus, whatever we do, must be on transforming. To my mind, the biggest growth that will happen in India will be in the social sector, education, health, nutrition, where new technologies will enable us to leapfrog and improve the quality of life of our citizens. And these are also the sectors where maximum jobs will be created. Ladies and gentlemen, a new study by on the world economy by A.T. Kearney has actually revealed that no country has yet reached the frontiers of readiness, let alone harness the potential of fourth industrial revolution. And countries are still navigating the early stage of transformation. And therefore, this is India's biggest opportunity to become a global leader. And we can become a global leader only when students from BML Munjal become the greatest business leaders of tomorrow. So I wish you all the best and a great future. And I'm quite sure that you will become outstanding leaders who will disrupt global economy and take India to a high trajectory growth rate. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.